Hello. This is Lisa Nickel, host of the Sacred and Rooted podcast. Hello. This is an episode in the series called The Happiness Habit. I think it's, let me see here, actually. Number 14. And so there's obviously 13 others if you want to give them a listen to, and get like a major injection of different ways to be optimal, feel satisfied, happy, have some meaning in your life, that kind of thing, if you're needing some inspiration. Okay, so this episode is called Body Moving, and it's basically the crux of it, if you just want the Coles Notes, if you're from the 80s or 90s, back when there was Coles Notes. I don't even know if there is still or not. Anyway, if someone knows, let me know. That seems so a long time ago. Anyways, yeah, body moving. So this has been my experience recently, and I've sort of had an epiphany with it all last week, and just wanted to share some insights and, take what you resonate with, leave the rest, that kind of thing. Because you are obviously the expert on you. I'm just sort of transmitting information. So I'm 45. I think I've said that before on the podcast. And so for the last few years, it's been a stressful few years, but I've also had these physical symptoms that I had never had before that I attribute to perimenopause. And so, they range from all over the place. They range from, my period shifting around. My period used to be, 28 days on the dot. Mark your clocks for it. Now it's anywhere from, I don't know, like almost sometimes I think once or twice it's been as short as 22 days, which is so crazy. And then as long as like 35, something like that. And yeah, so it fluctuates now. And it's fluctuated enough now that I'm not running out panicking and buying pregnancy tests and praying that that's not actually a situation that I have to be in. But also other things like, having trouble sleeping through the night. I never used to have trouble sleeping through the night. Just some weird headaches, some, tired, emotional, where it didn't seem reasonable. Like it was almost like an over expression of emotion after what I would normally say is something was being held back, but at the time not realizing like that, or not thinking that anything was held back. So it sort of was like an unexplainable outburst of emotion. And so I started tracking, because I have an app for my period cycle. And so I started tracking, when I felt really tired, I was having major, like just really tired, like bone tired. And I would get this a couple times a month, and it was when my estrogen was really low. So right before my period and I think it's in the middle, like maybe 2 weeks in, would be another, just like for a day or less, like not huge. And I guess the other thing I want to preempt this all with is that I never was somebody who had no major symptoms of anything with my cycles when I was younger for like the first 30 years until recently. So yeah, I get like my joints would ache, some swelling in my ankles, and to me I always equated that with like old ladies. So that actually was like the thing that really got my attention, where I was just like, wow, what is happening here? And so wanting to, with all these physical ailments, mini ailments, like they're not really anything, but it was like distracting, taking me off my game, or, however you want to think of it. And so this podcast episode, I'm doing this because I just wanted to kind of put out into the universe the question, like, are you moving your body enough? And not just, walking around, but really engaging your body. Because I think this point in my life is all about sort of refocusing my efforts, because nothing that I ever did when I was younger is working now, obviously, because otherwise I wouldn't have these symptoms. And it's more sensitive. So it's like if I, drink a little too much or I have a few too many snacks, if I don't move enough, it's a very, it's more severe, the reaction that my body gives me. And so I think this is just part of the gift of aging where we're like refocusing, we're fine-tuning our efforts on health. And so I've been trying to be patient with all of this and just, tuning up my eating habits, eating less, eating, maybe skipping a meal, depending on how I feel, like if I don't really feel hungry. Because that's another thing, is that my, my feelings of hunger are like the key to my digestion. And I would say before, my digestion was fire all the time. Like anything could go through my system and it would just be like, and that's it. Good, perfect. And now it's like, if I don't have that digestive fire, like cooking, then it's going to be a sluggish way through the system. And I might hate myself later. So skipping meals, having smaller meals, having, a sort of like a snack dinner, I call it. Because for me, lunch is like my main meal. Those have all really, really helped. I guess in relation to this episode, the other thing I've been reassessing is my movement of my body. I've always had, I shouldn't say always, but I think I've been gradually reducing my activity as I've aged. And there's certainly been spits and spurts since I've had kids where I'm like more or less active, but lately, especially with COVID and since, it's been like definitely a lessening of activity. And then also with a lot of work going on the last year or two, I've just been at my computer a lot more, so that, sitting for hours and hours a day, with little movement, because if I'm working from home, I'm not, I'm walking to the washroom and back, I'm walking to the kitchen at lunch. Like it's not even the same as when I'm in the office where I'm walking back and forth through the office, talking to people and all that. So just to give yourself a check-in, how much are you moving? Because I guess the point of this is because there's a real, slippery slope, I guess, because I do have a lot of friends I know, coworkers, people I know that, if something new is happening to their body that maybe isn't a good sign, it's like, we're just getting older, like the next, just got to live with it. And I always have been someone who really looks at stuff and it's like, okay, well, what is this telling me? Like, maybe obviously I'm getting older, but I feel like there's some things that I could tweak, in all honesty, that really probably should have been tweaked long ago and would just allow me a better quality of life in my body. And so that's what I've been doing recently. And last week, until yesterday, really, I was in Italy. And so I spent the week walking my face off. Actually, more specifically, walking my ass off. So, like 10 to 20 steps a day, walking. And for sure, my feet were a little sore or whatever. But mostly, it was great. Like, it was so much in such a consistent period of time that it was so obvious to me that a lot of different issues that I have with my body or how I'm feeling even have to do with just not moving enough. And now that I'm getting older, moving more than enough, than what would be enough, my 30-year-old self or my 20-year-old self. And so to keep, increasing the level of activity, not decreasing it. So now I'm back at home and I'm like, okay, game on. I've got to, really commit to this and really get on it, because I really am enjoying the way I'm feeling. I lost 5 pounds last week and I feel just better in my body. And the thing is, maybe that I don't think I totally clicked with until last week was that, I'm a meditation teacher and all that. So it's like I have this mindset, I have ways of, processing feelings, emotions, all that stuff. But I definitely, my body is where I can use some improvements, where I have like the most work to do, I think. And so just last week, it really like all fell into place where it was so obvious and so clear that it was like undeniable. And so here I am doing this episode kind of as a timestamp, not only for myself and my own journey, but also for anyone out there who is kind of like, yeah, I'm getting older. Things are starting to kind of like wear down, or, there's nothing I can do about it. And not even physically, but also mentally, like, everything is tied together. So I think, I've always been someone who, I go to the doctor and the doctor takes my, blood pressure and my cholesterol, checks blood stuff. And they're always like, wow, you have, somehow whatever stats are totally normal or better than normal for my age. But I am carrying a little extra weight. So I think they're surprised at the fact that it doesn't totally correlate. And so I think the meditation and everything that I do in my spiritual practices really helps, clear the system of just the heavy energy, the stuff that, I don't have a lot of stuff that drags me down for too long, because I know that doesn't work for me. But I do have, I do tend to have, like I eat a little bit more, or I use a little bit of wine to like sort of mellow out. And I just, especially when, work is going crazy and there's lots of different things, they're kind of pushing me beyond my comfort zone without, that are forcing me out of my comfort zone, not that I'm like intentionally out of my comfort zone. So it happens and we get in ruts, and that's how life goes sometimes. And we need to just be able to pull ourselves out of a rut when we have it stare us in the face, kind of in the stark light of day. And so that's the gist of this. I've always been someone who kind of from a really young age, I've had the feeling that, I would be here for a long time. And I think at this point, at 45, there are definitely choices we can each make for ourselves that even if we're going to be alive for a long time, can greatly enhance our quality of life. And so to really make the most of that, and to, before, shit really hits any kind of fans, to, be able to look back and say, okay, well, I did what I could do. I eat healthy. I have a pretty healthy lifestyle. So, illness may come, may not, who knows, whatever. But if you're sitting there, hardly moving at a desk job and just kind of very stagnant, energy doesn't like stagnancy. It likes to move. And so your body is just one giant manifestation of your energy, right? So to always keep it moving, and even yoga, stretching. I mean, geez, I used to get out of bed when I was 20 and I never thought about my body much at all. But now, like, yeah, it feels a little stiffer when I get up. I need a few steps before I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm good. Like, but it's just crazy. So exercise has been impressive, even surprising to me how much of an improvement it can make in such a short time. And so anyone else out there who's kind of in a similar situation where maybe, life happens and something gets dropped, and if it's body motion or exercise of any kind, because that's the other thing too, is that exercise, it's not like you have to go to the gym. You could literally dance more. You could walk in nature. You could, meet friends and go for a walk. And so you get that, connection with your friend while you're getting, walking and exercise. So it doesn't have to be, it can be whatever you want as long as you're moving your body. So like the agility of just having your body move constantly through your life and not sort of like stop doing this, stop doing that, stop doing this. So then at some point in your life, all you do is like walk from your house to the car and back in and back out of the office. And you're not really using the full range of motion of your body. Because I want to see all of you live to 100. That's what I used to tell the kids when they were little, that everyone was supposed to live to 100. And then some people don't. And then they got old enough to realize that lots of people don't. And it was, it's like no fault of their own. It was just, at first when they were younger, it was kind of like, oh yeah, we're going to live to 100, because you don't want to talk to your kids about death right away when they're little. So it's like, oh, don't worry, I'll live to 100. Anyway, so that's the episode. I hope you enjoy your body, because your body has it's crazy how, we're humans. So this is a human experience. So it's like, you want to enjoy food, you want to enjoy pleasure, you want to enjoy movement so that you can enjoy going on vacations and you can enjoy trying new things. Because, ask anyone who's having a health issue right now, and health is so important when it's all the time, but we take it for granted when everything seems to be working without much thought. So I would encourage you or invite you to give it some thought. And if there's any room for tweaking, maybe tweak it today. Get ahead of the curve and get ahead of yourself. Take good care of yourself. Make yourself a priority in your life, so that, we can all be here when we're 100, still having fun, still laughing, still able to take hikes and walk around and all that fun stuff. I will see you next time for another episode of The Happiness Habit. I wish you a fantastic day and a day full of body movement, however you feel called to do that. Take care.